Hi, I'm Joel Selanikio. I'm the CEO of Magpie, a mobile forms company, also a former CDC disaster responder and outbreak investigator, and I volunteered last December and January to work for 6 weeks in an Ebola treatment center in Sierra Leone, and I thought I would tell you how to get past kind of the hype and all the hysteria that we saw in this country last fall, and really just give you an idea of what it was like to be there in a very, very low-tech environment, caring for very, very sick people. So this is the Ebola Treatment Center I worked at, or ETC. This is in Linsar, Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone is in the sort of the overhang of West Africa, and this was purpose-built for this, for here, and you can see the three big tents there are the three wards for the patients. So this is a diagram of the camp. The three big tents, the three wards are in red. It's a very complex place. It had laundries, it had rest areas, it had canteens and kitchens and all this kind of stuff. Most of the time, the docs and the nurses spent our time in these places doing this loop all day long. Medical tent to the donning station where we put our PPE on, through the wards to the doffing station where we took our PPE off, got sprayed in the face with chlorine, and then back to the medical tent for another round. This is morning report with the doctors. This is a mix of doctors and nurses. You will probably note, or I'm not sure if you can tell, that these people are African, but they're not African American, they are African, and in fact, most of the responders, most of the nurses and doctors were people who came from neighboring African countries and volunteered to help the situation. That's me on the right-hand side there. The doctors worked for about 30 to 40 hours per week. This was less, I think, than people expected to work. This is the main street of our camp. Basically, we would go from the medical tent to go to the donning station to put our stuff on. This is where people kind of hung out under that overhang because in the 120-degree weather is quite hot. This is where you would put your stuff on under the watchful eye of someone like Esther, this woman right there, who would make sure that you had not left any skin exposed, since that might kill you. The rest of the folks there are doctors and nurses from America and elsewhere. If you went through the training and you didn't freak out and you seemed like you weren't too nervous, then you were allowed to go into the hot zone, which is this area that is surrounded by all the relaxing orange fencing. And you know, everybody I talked to said they were a little worried about entering the wards. They worried that they would be so anxious they would kind of freak out. Basically, the people told me again and again they were worried they might disgrace themselves. They might have gone there and then not be able to function, and luckily for no one that I knew did that actually happen. People were able to function in, as you can see, this very austere environment. This is a facility that got $1 million a month to operate. And as you can see, there is barely anything in there. We made IV poles out of wood initially, and then we were able to get the metal ones. Hand washing, boy, this was something I did like every 5 seconds of every day, constantly washing our hands. This is our electronic medical record system, sorry, our medical record system, that blue sheet. I'm going to tell you more about that in a moment. The guy on the left-hand side, this was a father of 3 children who came in, 5, 8, and 12. The only one who walked out alive was the 12-year-old girl with no family to go back to. On the right-hand side, you see someone who did survive with the medication she was taking. This is a kind of a blow-up of that. This is what she'd have to take by mouth 3 times a day for the first 3 days that she was there on this pharmacy order form. Notice also on paper. Doctors spent probably about 2 to 3 hours per 6-hour shift doing paperwork. This is more paperwork. These are labs and labs and IVs. So for labs, we had 2, Ebola and malaria. That's it. Everybody's on IV fluids. We couldn't measure, we couldn't do electrolyte panels. Couldn't do any other labs. Once we had gone through our rounds and comforted the sick, which was a lot of what our job was, clean people up, we would have to shout our round notes to a nurse on the other side who would make a copy of them on a second copy of that blue sheet. So basically the way this worked was we'd have to make 2 copies, one for each of the patients, and then we'd write those down during rounds, we'd dictate them through the fence, we'd come outside after getting sprayed with chlorine, grab the nurse's copy, and then make a 3rd copy into the chart. Triplicate hand copying all day long. This is the doffing station where basically a nice but gruff person would be shouting at you as to what to do, like, take off your mask, wash hands, take off your hood. No, take off your hood, wash hands, all day long. You know, we managed over the course of this time to comfort the sick mostly, comfort the dying. Most of our patients died. We were mostly able to stop transmission. I think that was the most important part. We did what we could. We didn't do much. Thank you.